This is the story of a man named Ben. Ben worked in a tiny little shed in the middle of nowhere, making videos, hoping that one day it would mean something. He recorded all day, every day. Well, at least when he was not procrastinating. And he was happy. So this is the Stanley Parable. I should turn the sound down. Now the Stanley Parable is a really interesting game. It's got a lot of things like, multiple endings. People like multiple endings. Choice. Well, kind of, but sort of choice. A narrator that either loves you or hates you depending on your choices. And a atmosphere that is incredibly boring and very, very dull to look at. Sometimes it isn't. But the question is, first of all, what even really is the Stanley Parable? And second of all, is it worth buying? Now, to answer the first question, what really is the Stanley Parable? Well, the Stanley Parable is a story about Stanley. Now, how that story ends depends on the player's actions, and the story is told by the narrator. So hence, that is why he's such a big part of the story, but also why it's called the Stanley Parable, because it's a story about Stanley made by the narrator. Now, the narrator will choose different paths depending on your actions. So if you get the normal ending, or the canon ending, for example, it will just be a very plain sailing adventure, which is not actually that long. It's only about, I think, 5 to 6 minutes, and maybe quicker if you're able to speedrun it. But if you choose one of the other endings, not only can it be much longer, but you'll have a much more interesting dialogue with the narrator. Now, obviously, Stanley can't talk, so it's not like there's a two-way conversation, but the narrator almost imagines Stanley being able to talk so that he can keep himself sane. And essentially, the whole point is that both Stanley and the narrator are keeping each other sane. That's kind of the whole gist of the game. So what is actually the gameplay like? Well, as you can see, it's very Source Engine, because the original game was based on Half-Life 2 as a mod for Half-Life, and they've actually done an amazing job here. Even though the game's made in Unity, they've done a really good job making it feel like you're literally just playing like Half-Life, but obviously without all the guns and all the action. It's mainly just that, but in an office setting. And yeah, you just walk, you have no legs, obviously, because what do you need legs for? And the narrator will just talk to you about random things that are happening on screen, or random things that are about to happen. But is it worth buying? Let's get into the video. I just realised this is the entire intro, and yeah. And so, here we are, room 427. Now this is where Stanley does all his work, or at least did until the big incident. Now why am I telling you this? Because you probably already know this by now. But what I want to do is I want to go through every single tiny bit of this game in very minute detail. And the reason being is that you can't really understand the artistic expression and the immense knowledge and immense terminology of this experience without painstakingly monitoring every single tiny little bit of this game. So first of all, we start off with Stanley's chair. Now, Stanley's chair has huge significance because otherwise he wouldn't be able to sit down or even really do anything, to be honest. Now, as we go over to the filing cabinet here, so there's multiple filing cabinets in this room. So there's like a lot of them over here, though some of them are not being used because obviously, there's only so much filing that you can do. So these filing cabinets were the original filing cabinets of the company's founding, and these were the very first ones which the boss gave to Stanley because of his excellent button pushing skills. Now here is the main article, the computer. Now the computer is very important because without it, Stanley could not do his job. And that includes pressing a button every moment, every time, the exact same time, and the exact same way every single day. And he's incredibly good at it. He only ever missed it once, as we found out with that phone call. Now, the pencil sharpener here is something that many people don't mention that much. The pencil sharpener was actually used in 1887. Now, why do we say that? Well, it's because a very famous gunslinger known as Marty McFly used this very pencil sharpener to destroy. And so, Ben droned on and on and on about all the little intricacies of the game, and although it was rather interesting, nobody cared. So, for your sake as well as mine, I'm going to skip to the end of this segment. And here we are, so we're at the end now, and well, I hope you were listening because I'm about 5 hours, I think, into recording. There was a lot of information there, so you're going to have to play it over a few times, but here we are anyway at the end. And as you can see, this hallway in particular, so these set of stairs are very important because they were actually used in one of the James Bond episodes. It eludes me which one it was now. Oh, it was also used in the GoldenEye game as well, this particular set of stairs, so this is, very significant. And as we go down these very important stairs, we finally find look at this, the outside. This is the canon ending, and we end up outside. Yeah, and obviously it's a very interesting story and how we got here, but you've already told that, so you already know that. It's going to take our character, we can no longer move. Now, this outside is actually really interesting because it was actually just a preset Unity asset. Yeah, I know. I thought they would have recreated this, you know, and actually like put some effort in, but apparently not. This is just standard, you know, this is just a standard asset from the store, and they just stole it. And I don't need to give you any evidence for it because you already know that. So that's basically what happened. And yeah, and so once we get that ending, we are right back at square one. And yeah, it's a really interesting ending because it actually referenced a movie from 1652. Yeah, I didn't know movies existed in 1652 either, but apparently they did. And yeah, it references the film where Sir Francis Drake found Italy, and then he went and found over South America. Well, now that I think about it, not only was that ending really boring, but in fact Ben is really boring. So what I will do now is reset this video in the hopes that it is better than this ending. So this is the Stanley Parable. Now, the Stanley Parable is quite an interesting game because of all the unique features, like all the unique endings. Okay, now even though Ben is talking about the Stanley Parable on the Steam Deck, there is gameplay of Ocarina of Time. Now, I'm not sure about you, but I don't think this video is about Ocarina of Time. So what I'm going to have to do is reset this video yet again to get back to where we were before. This is the story of a cat named Stanley. Now Stanley, like any other cat, hates me and only wants me to feed him. Although he is very cute and fluffy, all he ever does is moan. Like for example right now, where he won't even look at the camera and instead is only looking at the floor.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 4.
Now for some reason, Ben gave up on making an intro and instead stole the intro from the game. This is bad because we may get sued for plagiarism and that would compromise the integrity of the channel. Let's reset again quick before anyone notices. The end is never the end, 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 is never. Oh no. Oh, what's happened here? This is bad, isn't it? Maybe another reset will fix it? Yes, let's try that. Aha! Here we are. This should work. So, is the game worth... Where did that come from? What? Can someone explain to me why there's the bucket here? I'm really confused. Let me just shove that over there, I guess? Like, there's a bucket there. Anyway, so overall, is the Stanley Parable worth buying? Well, for the price that it is, so that's about £20, so it's like $25, $30, somewhere around there. Probably not. I mean, if you haven't played the original game or the mod, then it might be worth it more for you because it'd be your first experience with it. But as somebody who owned the original game, I didn't play the original mod, but I owned the original game, the 2013 one. Yeah, I got a discount, so they were doing a 60% discount where for the first thing like week, if you own the original game, you got it for about 13 quid. It's about $15, $16. To be honest, I think that's a little too much. I would pay about 8 quid, about $10, $12, somewhere around there for this. Anything more than that, and it's kind of the same experience, really. Not the same experience, but it's kind of not as much there as I would like it to be for that kind of price. But to be fair, 13 quid, I'm not exactly disappointed with it. Like, there is a lot of new content, and it's kind of the whole reason it's called the Ultra Deluxe Edition is because it's a whole joke and parody on sequels and things being re-released for no reason. So that's kind of the point of it. Whether or not that was the developer's intention or if they just wanted to make a second game and couldn't, so they just used the excuse of, oh, it's a joke, it's the Ultra Deluxe, I'm not entirely sure. It's a very good game in my opinion. I actually really like it. I love the commentary, I love messing with the narrator, I love going through all these different paths and different endings and how the narrator reacts and how even Stanley reacts to it and how all of it comes together. And especially trying to come up with this kind of style of game is surprisingly difficult to do because you got to think of every single branch, every single tree. You might have to make like a mind map or something and try and figure out exactly every single ending. And I mean, I just putting this video together, I'm struggling to do that, so I have a lot of respect for the devs who've been able to craft such a really interesting story and have so many different endings without them all being confusing or without them all being too similar to each other. And yeah, overall, pretty darn good game. I do like it. It's kind of funny. And so see you later, I guess. Let me just make sure I turned it off. There we are. Ben didn't realise he had left his camera rolling, so with this opportunity, I will wrap up this video. Thank you for watching. Smash the like button if you hated it. Yes, that's what these YouTubers say, right? And comment if you don't want any more videos. Toodle pip. Now that everyone is gone, I will give you the secret ending. Yes, the secret ending. Here I can finally tell you what Ben did to them. But I can't give you many more details yet, because I don't know how much time I have left. But wait, that's him. Shh! Why is my camera turned on? I thought I turned it off. Oh, I'll just turn it off now, I guess.